an alternative to sports and war analogies, and how to expand the horizons of your curiosity. In this video, Simon Sinek explains in endless games like business and relationships, success must be defined according to its own criteria. To shift our perspective and replace judgment with curiosity requires a lot of courage. When making the switch, Simon has some tips.
So let's change the analogy first of all, just as an aside, right? We overuse sports or war analogies in business.
Right.
Those things are about winning. Those things are very finite driven. And so we need to sort of change the mindset that this is not a game like baseball or football. This is not a battle to be won, but it's more like a lifestyle. Think of it more like being healthy. That to be healthy, there's a number of things that we have to do. We all know what they are. You have to eat well, you have to exercise, you have to get enough sleep, you have to nurse your personal relationships. Some would argue there's 20 or 30 other things. It's very difficult to do all of those things well all of the time. They sort of go like this. You know, we let one go while we're doing well with another, and it's a striving. We all know this. And think of business the same way. There's so many things that we have to do to lead a successful business, right? We have to do our marketing, we have to do our sales, we have to do our relationship building, we have to be structured, we have to have systems, all of these things. Very hard to do all of them all the time. It's a striving. Much easier to do when we ask for help, as we've talked about before. Just like you have a gym buddy, you can have a leadership buddy. And so the same goes for the infinite game, which is there are multiple practices to embody an infinite mindset. You need to have that sense of just cause. You need to know the skills of building trusting teams. You need to study your worthy rivals. You need to have a capacity for existential flexibility, and you need to have the courage to lead. You have to do all of them at some point. It doesn't matter where you start, you're going to have to do all of them at some point. The easiest one to embody and to embrace is studying your worthy rivals. So in a finite game, we have competitors, right? And that competitor is there to be beaten. We have to stop talking about the other players in our game as competitors, because they're not. We're not actually competing against them, we're competing alongside of them. Very, very different. So change the terminology to rivals. There are other players, the other people who do what I do are my rivals, and some of those rivals are worthy of comparison, which means some of them do one or many things better than I do, which means that their strengths reveal to me my weaknesses. And instead of trying to beat them, rather I can respect them. I don't have to like them or agree with them, but I can now have my weaknesses revealed, and I can now work on those weaknesses. I can work to build on those weaknesses. And the reason is simple, because I need to stay in the game as long as possible. I don't care how long they stay in the game. Whether they survive a day or a year or 10 years or forever it has nothing to do with me. The goal is that my business survives for as long as I want it to, whether it's my lifetime or beyond my lifetime.
The first issue is that analogies of sport and war are inappropriate because they assume enmity between disputants, and this hostility has unpleasant repercussions. In both games and wars, the goal is to win and vanquish the enemy. Everything is fair in love and war, as the adage goes. Therefore, when we get to the setting of reasoning, the metaphor make it challenging to see that would be wrong with employing all possible measures to prevail in dispute. Contrary to a conflict, successful argumentation depends on participant abiding by the rules. Furthermore, even when one loses an argument, one still gains insight into their point of view. Also, one's thought can improve. An argument loss can be advantageous to the loser. The argument against the use of the metaphors of war sport is that they are inappropriate because they overlook the intricate characteristics of the argument. But take note that normative vocabulary is rich in both sports and combat. The background cooperation condition is a collection of just war standards that we identify as being constrained by those norms, just as there is the idea of one's armament. We have decided to solve the problem using arguments, so we understand what others say in this setting as serving that aim. In reality, the cooperative principle of perceiving gestures of response as argumentative in these circumstances is a consequence of this cooperative backdrop.
How do we replace our judgment with curiosity? So
there's a simple technique. There are simple techniques to do this. One is write yourself a little reminder, put a little sticky on your computer that says be curious or ask questions. You'll be amazed how well that works. But especially in times when we're judging, especially when we're in groups of leaders, we're in meetings, we can snowball into judgment really quickly. Let's say someone's performance is in decline. Immediately, they're lazy. They're stupid, they don't understand, they're a problem child. All it takes is one person to break that judgment and say, well, maybe they're going through something. And there is a technique where when you start to form a narrative about someone or about something, that you force yourself to come up with 21 possible alternatives of what could be going on in their life. So, are they lazy? Absolutely. That's absolutely a possibility. Are they a problem child? Are they toxic? Absolutely. Are they are their kids struggling at school? Maybe. Do they have problems in their family? Maybe someone's sick? Maybe. Do they have medical issues that they're hiding from us, that they're too embarrassed about? Maybe. My point is can you go through the exercise of writing 20 or 21 alternative stories of what could be happening, and all of a sudden we find ourselves talking about and treating that person differently? And it doesn't just come about people, it's also about decisions we're making at work. And again, in a meeting, all it takes is one person to raise a question of what if. As leaders, the more we start asking each other and ourselves, what if, or what are the opportunities, or what are the possibilities, we'll find ourselves doing that with our people. That when they come to us, instead of us correcting them and telling them that they're wrong, raising questions. But believe it or not, simply having a little reminder to be curious is really important.
What is an easy method to replace our judgment with curiosity? There are straightforward methods to carry this out. Make a note to yourself to remind you, children are incredibly intelligent. They scrutinize everything they encounter in an effort to understand how and why things operate. Every intellect is curious and bursting with curiosity. Nevertheless, as adults, we no longer marvel at the tiny things. Society has frequently taught us to keep our mouths shut out of a fear of appearing ignorant. We are terrified of being a newbie, a novice, or someone with little experience. But asking about something you don't know is a sign of curiosity. Similar to how we encourage children when we provide them the knowledge they want to send them in the right way to locate the solutions they require, we should be encouraging this behavior. Be curious and approach the next opportunity where you don't know something with a fresh, youthful mind. Embrace your beginner status. Get past your apprehension and consider it an opportunity for wonder and first-time experiences instead. Take an interest in what you can learn that is new. We should practice asking questions when we don't know the answers, just like kids. Instead, approach it with awe and utilize it as motivation to learn more. Investigate what you don't understand, look for solutions, and add those skills to your toolkit.